and a happy new year. I hope you've had a fantastic Christmas, managed to get some time to restore and recover, and that you've had a really wonderful start to 2023. It's great to be bringing the podcast to you again this week, and I'm solo flying alone here with another topic that is so relevant at this time of the year. I'm talking about resolutions. Now, for how many years have you set resolutions? And be honest, how many times have those resolutions stuck? Interesting, isn't it? So there's such a hot topic at the start of every new year, aren't there? I remember setting them as far back as being an 11-year-old. I actually remember me and my best friend at the time set a resolution to run every day. Now, if you've been following me and know me, you know that when I was young, I was definitely not sporty or into fitness whatsoever. But we decided that we were going to run every morning, and we lived near a great big hill, and so we'd meet, I think at maybe something like 7 o'clock in the morning, which was pretty early back in those days. You know, it wasn't as hustle and bustly getting up and out for work as what everyone has it these days. But we used to meet, we were a few doors away from each other on the street. Now, I bet you can predict how many times both of us actually turned up. I do remember being alone and going alone on the odd occasion, but if she didn't turn up, then I would just go back home and tell my mum that we weren't doing it that day and get stuck into the cereal for breakfast. So, you know, it wasn't very successful, and likewise, many other resolutions I've set about vowing to eat healthy, give up chocolate, stop eating out as much, stop drinking as much alcohol, even ones where I think I've said I'm going to stop swearing. Mourning's definitely been a big one. I'm not going to mourn as much and be as grumpy and miserable this year. I'm sure you know where I'm coming from, because I think you'll have said quite a few of those yourself over the years. So I want to get started by looking at what resolutions are and why we set them, why we're still here at the start of the year, seeing them on social media, hearing about them on the radio. You know, wherever it is, everyone seems to be talking about what your resolutions are and what you're going to change in 2023. So resolutions are a statement of intention, right? They're a promise to yourself to get something done. The word itself, resolution, comes from the word resolve. So you're resolving to do something better. And usually they come off the back of things that you should have but didn't do the year before. So you're resolving to do something differently. Now, by this very nature, they tend to start out from a place of negativity and failure. So let's just have a look at where resolutions come from, and I did a bit of research here on this. It was a topic I spoke about actually in January 2022 as well, and it's one that I just find fascinating. So hopefully you're going to, feel the same and really do a bit of thinking about whether they're worth it in your life. Now, resolutions started as far back as 4,000 years ago with the ancient Babylonians. They're said to be the first people to make New Year's resolutions. And then a similar practice occurred in ancient Rome with the Emperor Julius Caesar, who he switched the calendar up because the annual calendar didn't used to start the new year in January. He moved it to establish January the 1st as the beginning of the new year, somewhere around 46 BC. So you can see how long we've had resolutions embed in our culture and society. Now, for early Christians, the first day of the new year just became that traditional occasion where you would think about your past mistakes and then you'd resolve to do and be better in your future. And despite the tradition's very religious roots, obviously, as we're hearing, New Year resolutions are still very popular and very much a part of our traditional annual calendar. So, now we don't make those promises to God, or not everyone does, but we're making them to ourselves, and they really often focus purely on self-improvement. So we know that the new year, the start of our new calendar, is a great marker in time at which we just reevaluate our lives, we take stock of where we are, and, psychologically, it's a really good point that we can start to get intentional about how we want to be and how we would like our life to be. So we're going to kind of crack open the whole resolution conversation to see whether that's the right way and the best way anyway of helping to start a year with intention and make that happen for you. Now, if you think about it, when you set a New Year resolution, you're pretty much vowing that you're going to do them overnight. Think about the way you say them to yourself or to others. It's like, oh, from tomorrow or from the 1st of January, I'm going to go on a diet. From the 1st of January, I'm going to get fit. And you expect that, just like that overnight on the 1st of January, 12:01 a.m., that's it, it's happening. But can you really engage your motivation as simply as flipping a switch? Now, few stats on the success of resolutions. In 2022, there was a survey done and only 23% of the participants planned on making New Year's resolutions. And the most popular ones were about living healthier, personal improvement, development and happiness, and losing weight was a big one. So 20% of the people questioned said their resolution was to lose weight. So, we've only got around a quarter of the population that was surveyed saying they were going to do them. And out of those who do set resolutions, the results in terms of success are very grim, as you probably can imagine. It's estimated that only 8% of people actually stick with their resolutions and accomplish them. And only 25% are still committed and sticking to their resolutions after 30 days. So by the end of January, 3/4 of you have given up your resolution. How many times have you actually given up your resolution by the middle of January, especially if it's one that said you were going to stop drinking alcohol? How long does that last? And this is where the problem with resolutions begins. So, people aim for these extreme changes, and so many of the resolutions people set are about putting restrictions in place. So they're generally unrealistic and have very high, unachievable outcomes right from the off. And when you come from a place of restriction, this can have the exact opposite effect. It actually leads you to wanting it more, thinking about it constantly, and resulting in you probably doing it even more than you did before you set the resolution. Think about the times you've set a New Year resolution, say for example to stop eating chocolate. We know that's a popular one. You expect like magic to be able to resist and make it happen the very next day, but instead you crave the chocolate. You think about the taste of it. You think about the ones that you've got sitting in the tin that you haven't finished off from Christmas, and you're constantly trying to battle with that devil in your head, and the angel over whether you should have them or not. And then you justify to yourself, it'll be okay if I just have a little bit. So you convince yourself you'll finish off the Christmas chocolates first, and then you'll put the resolution in place. Might be by the 10th of January. And I'm definitely talking from experience here. Because the more you think about it, the more you want something. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you saying, I'm not going to have that, or I am going to have that. All it hears and thinks about is chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. That's why it's so, in your mind all of the time. So telling yourself that you are or are not going to do something isn't backed up with the motivation, the plan or the steps to make it happen, because you tend to just go with that all or nothing approach. You say what the resolution is, but there's nothing backing it up to ensure you can achieve it. The expectation is that you've set, so it's going to happen like a sprinkle of Disney magic. But unfortunately, that's not the way it actually plays out in real life, is it? Another challenge is that you can forget about having made them. Now, you start out well the first few days, because it's sitting in the front of your conscious mind, but then life takes over. The resolution dissolves and your subconscious mind kicks into full swing, bringing all of those bad habits back. And then suddenly you realise you've had 3 days of drinking coffee each morning when you told yourself that you were kicking that habit. Yeah, that's another one, isn't it? It's so easy to forget because you haven't built a plan and taken steps. You've just told yourself, I'm not going to drink coffee anymore in the morning. I'm going to give up the caffeine. So what should you do when you hit that turning point? The turn of the calendar, that switch from one year into the next, and what we associate with new beginnings and fresh starts. I think that life goals are the way forward. Now, goals are a statement of commitment and are usually much more positive. They're about something you want to achieve rather than something you want to stop, which is the way most people set resolutions. Goals aren't rigid either. They're not set in stone. You can be more specific and actionable with the results, but they're yours. You can tweak them. It's not, I'm going to stop doing that. It's a much bigger goal and outcome that you're aiming to achieve. So they really do give you that something to go after and then work backwards from, setting the right plan with small steps to take you to the desired outcome. They provide you with a direction to follow and ways to monitor your progress so that you can adjust and review and revise the plan as you need to along the way. And when you set goals for life, you become anchored to them because it's about how you want to feel and live, and you picture this life and the person that you will be. They become less about having something or needing to start something new and more about creating something, so more about creating that life that really matters to you. And this can really help to build the initial motivation you need to begin doing something new or changing something in your life. And it also doesn't have to happen overnight. You don't have to become that person on the 1st of January. So goals really involve intention setting, planning, preparing, and taking realistic action. And the more specific you can get when breaking down your goals, the more likely it is that you will accomplish them. You want to make working on your goals a habit and something that becomes a natural part of your daily routine and lifestyle. Likewise, you can build in habits to regularly track and acknowledge the progress you're making. So habits to help you achieve the outcome you're looking for, but also habits to keep you accountable and on track for what it is you're trying to achieve. And a big part, especially if you listen to last week's podcast episode, you'll know, is about celebrating your wins and success on the journey. That bit is as important, if not more so, than celebrating when you achieve the final result. Now, all of this helps to keep you motivated and aligned to what you want to achieve beyond that initial spurt of motivation and drive. Because when you can see the progress that you're making, when you're recognising it, rewarding yourself through that celebration on an ongoing basis, you can see the change, you can see what's happening different, and you can really feel into that and let that drive you further. And that's where the motivation comes from, which is very different to resolving not to do something or to start to do something and then just expecting it to happen. So this really does help to prevent that early slip we see when you make a resolution. So I have 7 tips for goal setting to help you get clear, specific, and stay on track right throughout the year. Number 1 is about thinking about who you want to be and the way you want to feel at the end of 2023. And number 2 is to ask yourself why this matters to you, not just now, but in your future. And I mean way out in your future, looking towards the end of your life, the things that you're wanting to do and achieve in 2023, or the way you want to be, that first question. What does that mean to you when you're drawing close to the end of your life? If you were to look back, why is that important? Now, those first 2 steps are really, really powerful and really important to start off with. And a great way to do those is to really vision on them, really see you the way you want to be, and really see you at the end of your life, looking back, knowing that you've done that and you've been that person. The third step is to then get clear on 3 things you want to accomplish this year that will take you closer to this version of you. And then fourthly, you focus only on these 3 things, only on the things you really want to achieve. You focus on it monthly, and you think about how you want to feel at the end of the month. And you ask yourself if that way you want to feel is aligned with the end of the year you. The 5th one is about building a weekly plan each week, really focusing on that monthly goal you've got. And when I say goal, it doesn't have to just be one thing. I just mean the whole way you want to feel. That's the goal. So each week, build out a plan that has small steps in it, things you can do each day that will help you to achieve the way you want to be at the end of the month. And then number 6 is to track your progress each week and reflect on your successes and make adjustments where needed. Remember, this is your plan, it's your life. There's no failing here. There's no right or wrong. You think about how you feel. You check in with yourself. You do what works for you. You go at your pace as well. And then finally, number 7 is to celebrate your progress, the wins and successes along the way. It's really important to not make everything about the finish line. You know that I love my Nike slogans and I like to drop them in now and again. I love there is no finish line, because there isn't. Yes, you have a goal and there's something you're trying to reach, but that will evolve. You know, you'll not get there and then it's job done. There'll be more in progress already. There'll be new goals that you'll build at that point. But it's really about the journey and the change and progress you're making on the way, and seeing what impact that has along the way, because I guarantee that you will start to feel better, stronger, happier, more healthy. And this is what it's all about. It's not about I'll be happy and healthy when. It's about I'm doing that, and so now I'm in control, now I'm empowered, now I'm taking steps, now I'm tracking them, I'm making it happen, and now I'm celebrating and I can feel the difference this is making in my life. So the key to all of this is consistency. You know, you have to follow the steps, you have to really know where it is you want to go to and really feel anchored to it and know why that's so important to you and your life, and then take those right steps forward with intention. It does take willpower and it does take consistency, but that comes through your motivation. It comes through your attachment to what it is you're trying to build as the outcome. And this is why it's very different to just resolving to make a change. Now, whether your goals are professional or personal, whether you're making plans or setting weekly to-do lists, just always ask yourself if what you're putting on there is contributing to that bigger picture. And then if it isn't, ask yourself if it's really something you should be spending your time and energy and effort on. And if it's not, you delete it and you forget about it. And you focus as much of what you do about progressing towards that desired outcome. And this is why so often resolutions don't stick and don't last very long, because you set them and expect to be able to do it. And more often than not, those resolutions made at the start of the new year, as I've said, are about stopping or removing things from your life. They're not followed up with clarifying why you want to do this and what it means to your life. You don't create a plan to get there and then track what's happening on the way. You just simply expect it to happen because you've said you want it to. And that's why so many of the changes we want to make for our health fail, because you just say, I am going to, or I am not going to, and that's it. And the motivation hasn't been created. You have to build your own motivation. And that 7-step process can really help you to keep that motivation going. So just by making that slight twist from setting a New Year's resolution to setting a goal, you will make it relevant. You will make it a stronger desired outcome, and it's so much more likely to be achieved. So if you're thinking or have already made your 2023 resolutions, just go back to them and think about what I've said in this podcast. You know, is it that you're trying to stop something? Is it that you're trying to start something new? What's behind them? How can you make them smarter? How can you make them something with a specific outcome so you're absolutely clear about what it is you're going to achieve? And then can you switch, you know, the intention, say it's about being healthy, can you switch the intention of that goal from being an avoidance goal, such as I will stop eating chocolate every day, to an approach goal of I will snack on fruit or carrot sticks every afternoon? Because when we set those avoidance goals of things you're going to stop doing, again, that's where we really struggle to make it happen. We fail because we haven't got the positive outcome in our mind. So when we set it as an approach goal with something you're going to do rather than not going to do, it has a much more positive starting point. And it is intentional. And this really helps your mind to associate more than if it was something you were denying yourself as well. So hopefully with the tips that I've given, you can begin building a really clear plan to take you forwards towards what it is you want to achieve. So I hope you found this interesting and, you know, inspiring. And if you have set resolutions that you may be thinking about going back and tweaking those, you know, build that clear plan, one that starts with that big life desire and then work backwards. So you only focus on the next few small steps. And I really talk about that a lot in my social media and marketing, that it is about the small steps. They're what create the big change. Just really make your smaller goals ones that are more positive, approach type, and focused on what you want to feel like as the person you want to become. So whatever you'd like to change this year, the key to success is to take action. And I love and use this quote a lot. Nothing changes if nothing changes. It's simple but so impactful, isn't it? You know, whatever you want to change, whatever route you decide to take to make the change, just get going. Just take that first step and know that it's the small steps that do lead to the big results. So I hope this has got your mind going and you're thinking about, you know, your end of 2023 and how you'd like to feel, and to come backwards from that to really get clear on the goals you're going to put in place. As always, thank you so much for listening. Please reach out if you've got any thoughts, questions, if you want to know more about this process. I'd love to chat with you. And as we're in January, I have launched my new group program, which is called the Healthy Happy Woman Collective. If you know what it is you need to do, but you just can't put them habits in place, and you know that when you feel healthier, you will feel happier, more confident, you know, more motivated and energized, this program is for you. This isn't about telling you what diet to use. It's not about telling you that you have to exercise in a certain way. This is about helping you to understand why living healthy is so important, not just for you, but the people around you who you can model your healthy lifestyle and habits to, and inspire them to also value themselves more and take better care of themselves. This is really about giving you the tools to build a lifestyle to feel healthy, happy and strong now, and also in your future. I'd love to have you on board. It's going to be a very niche program. I haven't seen anything else like this out there, and I'm really going to support you to make the changes that you want and to really embed these into your life for the rest of your life. So I'll pop the details into the show notes, or connect with me on social media if you'd like to have a chat and find out more about the Healthy Happy Woman Collective.